Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay here, but we are now ready to go, and we're delighted to have you with us. So my name is Dr. Patrick Patak. I'm the director of the university's Social Impact Lab, the community for students to gain knowledge, build skills, and learn from experience to lead sustainable social change. This is our first in-person event of 2022, and I'm so delighted to open with someone made in Southampton like me. She is also an alumna of both universities in the city, but don't worry, she likes us best. Veronica Gordon is a former broadcast journalist who combined her 15 years journalism expertise with her 15 years of community activism to create Our Version Media. Her media career spans Unity 101 Community Radio, BBC Local Radio, ITV Regional News, and digital media. Our Version Media is on a mission to increase the positive and authentic representation of Black and other communities demonized by the press, by teaching digital media and journalism skills to tell their own real-life stories. The company is an official media partner of Southampton's UK City of Culture 2025 bid. Veronica, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So, let's kind of start at the beginning. Tell us about your journey. How did you found Our Version Media? And I guess firstly, how did you come up with the idea for it?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I was born and raised in Southampton, and over more than 15 years I've been working and volunteering in the city's diverse communities, working across different ethnic communities, faith communities, cultural communities, and in these communities I saw so many beautiful things happening. And at the same time, I was working in community radio, bringing those stories to the forefront. And before I took a big leap into mainstream journalism, and I kind of didn't see, when I was working in mainstream, I didn't see those positive, beautiful things that were happening in the communities. I never saw that. It wasn't reflected in the media, on air, or in the press, or just in different places. And at the same time as well, I kind of saw the negative, the harm that it was having on people's self-esteem, well-being, to see images around them of people that look like them being portrayed as negatively as criminals, or in different negative ways. And so I started building Our Version Media from around 2016. While I was working in news and kind of gathering skills and bringing together my journalism side and my community side. And that's how I built it, really, with the aim of giving people media skills to tell their own stories. And in that way, then people could see more positive images and reflections of themselves, and more authentic as well, representation of themselves in what they see, whether it's online or in the press or in print, and everything like that. So,
wow, amazing. Yeah. What is it, do you think? And I mean, I think we've all experienced this, that the mainstream press does tend to like negativity, and that kind of seems to be what sells. Why do you think that is, and kind of how confident were you that you would succeed as well? That actually trying to represent things that are positive, that people would want things that are positive.
Yeah, there is definitely that saying, and well, it is factual that the negative, it does sell. I mean, when people want to sell the newspapers, you put the biggest crime on the front pages. And so, unfortunately, as a consequence of that as well, you kind of see a bit of misrepresentation, because there's also the way, for example, with Our Version Media and working with different ethnic communities, sadly, the stories most told about us were the negative stories, and that also sells. Right. And so, I've worked in newsrooms, and it, without meaning to be really crude about it, but sometimes it's not necessarily that people are prejudiced for different community groups. It's kind of slightly lazy, or just you've got editor breathing down your neck and they want to get the views on the website. So you have a journalist and they've got the news in front of them, and to get the eyes on your page, it's easier for people to pick the the blackface and put that as the lead story, as most wanted and things like that. So
yeah. No, I mean, and Southampton in particular, it feels like a place that has. We have kind of an issue with Southampton about being proud of Southampton. I mean, not just from ethnic minority backgrounds, but just generally that Southampton is a place where, because pride of place is sometimes feels hard to come by. How important has kind of black communities, but rooted in Southampton, kind of talk about why Southampton is a place, how that's kind of inspired you as well?
So where I was born in Southampton, I mean, for me, I see lots of beautiful things about Southampton. Maybe I have rose-tinted glasses, I don't know, or because I work with so many amazing people, I just see really, you know, obviously the city's not, it's not 100% great, but it is a really, really great city. And, you know, I think, for example, with me, what I do with Our Version Media, to give people the skills to, you know, bring those stories up to the forefront so they can tell the stories themselves and see what's going on in their neighbourhood, or see what, that's so-and-so from down the road, look what they're doing. And it kind of inspires others as well, and it makes a movement. And a lot of what Our Version Media does when we're empowering people to tell their stories, like for example, after we train people in mobile journalism, mobile storytelling, which means they use their mobile phone to make videos. I mean, we see those stories online. So we'd train somebody, for example, and then, you know, week on week, we'll see their stories coming out. And it's a really lovely thing because it also gets communities talking. And it shows, you know, it shows people's contributions to the city. It shows the great things in the city. It shows people's resilience. It shows how we're making the city a beautiful place. And the main thing as well is it counteracts negative stereotypes. I mean, we've worked with groups. We've worked with Muslim women's groups. We've worked with like black males. You know, just people from across different communities. That you kind of like. The stories are like hidden and you don't really see the great things about them. So by working with people and helping people tell those better stories, it shows what great city we've actually got here. So
amazing. And we do. We have, don't we? Can I ask which part of Southampton did you grow up in?
Got a couple of places. So Swaddling at first and then Peartree.
Okay.
So I spent
kind of one side of the river and the other side as well.
Yeah, so I think I like the east side of Southampton, sorry, west
side.
Do you?
Is that what we're saying here? Is that an east side?
No divides or anything, but that's where I've mostly, you know, like Peartree's on the east side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's mostly where I spent my time.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So Our Version Media, I mean, the mission is fantastic, but when you talk about empowering people to tell their own stories, which is kind of at the heart of Our Version Media. Why is that so important, that people can tell their own stories?
Mostly, first of all, for many reasons actually, because one of them is...
We've got time,
because one of them, like a big one, is to let people control the narrative of the stories told about them. For example, for me personally, you know, I've been a teen runaway, I've been a single mum, you know, and these are, and also a black female and a black female business owner, and I'm part of groups that people kind of, we have stories told about us, like for example, single parents, you know, we have stories always told about single parents. So to empower people to tell those stories themselves and actually say that, you know, what you're saying, that's not me. You know, we contribute to society, we do these things, we're not dependent on certain things. And another reason as well is it's because it gives people permission as well to celebrate themselves and be themselves as well, and also to show younger people. Because if you currently, when you're looking on certain media and you see negative images, it's nice to show younger people that, you know, people in neighbourhoods are doing things, and it's not what you see, you know, it's not necessarily the narrative that you're being told. For example, in 2020, Our Version Media, we did a media survey of black people living in Southampton. And 75% of the people that took part said that black people were negatively portrayed in the media. And most of them thought that the stories told about us were crime, drugs, and gang-related. And then we asked people as well, how did that make you feel? And sadly, I mean, I remember reading the findings, and it kind of like brought a lump to my throat. People said it made them feel sad, it made them feel depressed, it made them feel concerned for the younger generation, like we don't matter, you know, stereotypes. And and made some people feel angry and frustrated. And then we asked people, have they seen like positive stories in the media about Black people? And how did that make you feel? And people said they felt inspired, uplifted, hopeful. And those were, you know, so we kind of found a link between, you know, the negative coverage and negative well-being and negative impacts on people's well-being. So therefore, to you know, help people to tell their own stories, give people the skills to tell their own stories, and by doing it with something as, you know, as basic as your mobile phone, then you can pull out and make those stories anytime. And the stories that we're helping people to tell it's not just like ethnically cultural stories. It's stories that, hello, we are people.
Right.
You know, it's not just a Black story. It's a story about somebody who is a person. And by showing those stories and breaking down the stereotypes, it's really, you know, it's also good for young people to see, but it's also good for older people to see as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, you talked there about, my next question was really about age, building on that. And so we kind of have this assumption that younger people are natives to mobile phones and they can easily kind of use them. In your training, have you found that younger people are kind of more adept at using their phones, and are older people less kind of capable or confident with using phones? Does that come up?
Well, our last training, we trained people over 70.
Okay. Wow.
Our last session. So we do have, when we work with younger people, like we work with teenagers from Northam and Newtown, which has been absolutely fantastic. They're very, you know, obviously they're very good with using their mobile phone, and they're used to making videos as well. So what we do with that is we bring in the storytelling element, you know, how to tell impactful stories and how to film in certain ways to make kind of like mini reports about themselves and their lives and their neighbourhoods. And then we worked with it was an over 65 class, and it was only when, you know, 3 of them were over 70. I was like, wow, this is amazing. And the people in those class, they said they only used their mobile phone for making and receiving calls and doing WhatsApp. And then by the end of the first session, they were filming and then editing. And then, and so this was in September last year. And then in October, we did a screening at Masked Mayflower Studios in Southampton, where we brought together the people from that group and some other trained mobile storytellers. And we showed their stories on the big screen. And it was a beautiful celebration of Black stories. And the fact that we had people over 70 who are now equipped to, you know, to tell their stories was fantastic. And it's funny because some of the stories, you know, the camera's a bit shaky.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of empowering somebody to tell, you know, it was that realness, that authentic. And it's not, you know, because day in and day out, we're bombarded with videos that, you know, we have glossy marketing videos everywhere. People are trying to sell you things. And then these stories, it's really refreshing to see, amateur made. It's people's first videos they've ever made. And to be able to train people of all ages to do that and tell stories, it's that makes me happy about our Virgin Media.
You can hear the joy in your voice as you're talking about it. It sounds remarkable. Where would now? So it was on Unmasked. If someone's looking for them now, where would they find those videos? Are they available?
Yes, they are. So we have a YouTube channel. It's Our Virgin Media on YouTube, and we've put up quite a few of those videos, you know, also see all the older people in training as well.
Wow, okay.
So, and their stories are on there, and we're kind of like building that channel. We've actually got a backlog of videos to put on there at the moment, so.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah, so we're going to build that channel up.
Well, we will be sharing that in the chat on the Eventbrite. We'll also be sharing it on Social Impact Lab, social media as well, so you can follow Our Virgin Media there as well and watch those incredible videos.
Thank you.
So, just to change gear a little bit. So today is International Women's Day, and the theme is Break the Bias. Is there any bias relating to women that you believe should be broken?
Yeah, there's quite...
I'm guessing there's more than one.
There's quite a few. And I'm probably going to pick up on one where... I don't know, because I'm an independent woman. I've been living by myself since I was 16 years old. And a bias, I think, let's see, a bias. I'm actually thinking, I'm going to say about, it's rather than a bias, I think it's like a stereotype or something they say to women about being a strong woman. I don't know if that's a bias per se, but when it comes to women being women, and we get praised for being like strong, independent women, and specifically black women, it's like, oh, it's a strong black woman, and
right,
and
yeah,
things.
we hear that, yeah.
I think one thing I'd say about that is, in a way, it's kind of dangerous. I mean, it's fantastic to be an independent woman, but I think women should also stop and be vulnerable sometimes, and to be constantly, oh, you're such a strong woman. It doesn't give you permission to kind of stop. So I think that's a bias that needs to be taken down, just to be dismantled a little bit, to give women permission to, especially ethnic women.
Yeah.
Because we're the nurturers, and I know all women, but ethnic women from different cultures have an added pressure, to fit that role of a strong, matriarch of a family, the strong nurturer. And I think that needs to be toned down a bit.
Yeah, I can see that would be quite tiring if you've got to live up to that stereotype all the time. And and that's great. So if you've just tuned in, this is Social Impact Lab speaker series from Avenue Campus for the first time, and we're in conversation with Veronica Gordon, who's talking about the importance of telling community stories and telling her own story at the same time. So, onto some kind of questions about your journey, if that's okay, Veronica.
Yeah.
Can you kind of look back on one moment of kind of adversity, or maybe something that felt like failure on your journey with Our Version Media, or before maybe, that looking back, you're now grateful for, that maybe at the time you thought this was catastrophic, but has been actually beneficial in the long run?
I think, what I see what came to my head was not really so much like social entrepreneur related, I guess, but I think it has shaped my life. So I will say it as a kind of failure. I think finances. I think finances, because it's really strange, because I grew, as I said, I was a single parent, and I was actually studying here at the time. Both universities, and I was also here. And I can remember I got to the point where I was, was working and studying at the same time, and like getting further and further and further into student debt and everything, and like parent debt. And I remember I had to seek the help of a debt management company, and I can always remember that they put on there's a bit on the form that said, why is this person in financial in crisis, and they put on their lack of budgeting skills. And I remember reading that, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's not lack of budgeting skills, it's because I'm a single parent. It's because, so I put that label on myself. And at the time I was like, it's not because of budgeting, but I know now, so the lesson I learned from it is it was because of lack of budgeting skills. But at the time I was so in that label of single parents and the struggle and everything. So I was like, no, it's not, it's because of single parent. But what I learned from that is, once that realization hit, actually, I was able to work my way back to financial, financial normal, the normal financial status. Yeah. But the other thing is as well from that is what I learned was being at the university as well. There was support here as well, which I didn't know about at the time. So there was, and I think it's still available because I saw something come through on email the other day. So for any students out there who, having any financial issues, I know there are like funds that help students as well. So yeah, that was a bit of adversity because, the financial struggle at the time, it did go on for a long time, hence I sought help for it. So that was a big bit of adversity that I came through.
Well, it's great that you had it then, and that I guess as a social entrepreneur, it's really important that you have those. Yes. It's kind of taught you the importance of those skills as well. So that's kind of, I guess, useful but painful. Kind of not lesson isn't the word, but a kind of period.
It was an experience
that you've come through.
But I think now I would like to say a bit about like being a social entrepreneur actually, because for example, like for people who for people who see things like in their neighbourhoods or in their cities or towns, and that they want to make change, there is always the option of becoming a social entrepreneur. Because I always knew when I was starting up Our Version Media, I knew I wanted to do But what I didn't realise is it involves running a business to do it. And it's like I knew that that was a mission that I wanted to take on. That's what I wanted to empower people to tell their own stories. But I didn't know so much that I would have to run the business to do that.
Yeah.
So as I was building up, I kind of quickly realised, okay, this is what I want to do. Then I do need those business skills. And at one point, I didn't have business skills. I literally had no business skills whatsoever. And I found online an online American business school, which I won't advise anyone to do. But I found a business school online, and I had no idea if it was one of those hoaxes or anything. And I remember spending like nearly my whole month's salary on this, on enrolling in this business program, because I was desperate to have the business skills to run our Virgin Media. And so I did that, and as it turned out, it wasn't a scam, but it was American-based, so all of their processes are kind of different to the UK anyway. But it did give me some confidence in like kind of like selling, you know, creating our Virgin Media and like talking about it and doing like presentations about our Virgin Media. So it gave me that confidence. But I would say is, and then a little while later, I found the School for Social Entrepreneurs. And, you know, and I think for anyone who is, you know, who has those ambitions to be a social entrepreneur, or has those ambitions to start a social mission or tackle some issues in their neighbourhood, I feel if it's social enterprise people want to go into, they should always look at the School for Social Entrepreneurs. And there's another one called Unlimited as well. And they support social entrepreneurs with funding, advice, guidance. And for me, that's what helped me actually take our Virgin Media, you know, from something I was doing it alongside my day job and building. It helped me take it into a actual being enterprise.
Yes, brilliant. And Unlimited and School for Social Entrepreneurs, they're online and you can look them up, and we'll again add links to those as well. And we support social shifters as well, who've got other resources, but we'll put all of them up for aspiring social entrepreneurs. Just a quick one, if you have any questions for Veronica, keep them in your head. In about probably 10 minutes, we'll open up the floor to questions. Same goes if you are online. You can post your questions now in the chat, and we will give you the opportunity to have them read out once I finish. Now, I've really got, I guess, one more question before we open to the floor, which is, what's one piece of bad advice that you hear people being given in your field? So, or in general. So I guess that could be in terms of journalism, or it could be in terms of social enterprise. And a bad piece of advice that you hear people talking about a lot.
Gosh, I think that's probably for everyone. About when people say things like, there's, you know, successful people don't sleep, or things like that. I think the main thing is, because you kind of, when you keep hearing things like that, you know, people don't sleep, you know, you'll sleep when you're dead, or things, you know, there's those kind of statements. And if you want to be successful, you have to work all the time. I think that's completely wrong. I know you have to work hard and smart. I do understand that, but I think it's really important. And especially these days, after the pandemic, you see things like mental health and well-being. So I think these days, people, please sleep when you're trying to build a business. It's really, really important. If you have, you know, if you're working towards social impact or building a social enterprise, or even studying, especially for your exams. Sleep is really important. So it is a really bad piece of advice. And I think the other thing is as well, is it's okay, and it's really, people should build in a bit of downtime into their schedule, because I think what you know, I know what I tend to do is I tend to make allow myself to be so busy back to back, and you know, meeting after meeting, or training session, or friends for coffee and catch ups and things like that, like back to back. And so now what I do, like for example, like Fridays, and I think it also becomes part of where I work for myself and I work with the community. I actually have Friday as my family day. So in my diary, Friday's blocked out. So it's very rare I make meetings on a Friday. And I kind of, you know, FaceTime my nieces and nephews if I can't see them, or try and see my nieces and nephews and my family. I try to do that. And I think it's really important that people do that.
That's brilliant. So you effectively work a 4-day work week. Usually.
Kind of. Although it doesn't end at 5 o'clock. It kind of goes on till all hours. But I am trying to be a bit more strict with my time, and but definitely, yeah. And I want to make it keep my time a bit more balanced. But it is actually 4 days a week, yeah.
Wow. But the long 4 days, but at least a fifth one is protected.
Yes, yeah.
And you get your 8 hours sleep a night if you can?
No. No, I'm one of those people, I'm up working, you know, and you're laying in bed with your phone, you're like responding to emails or looking at, and the thing is I do need to set a bit of boundaries. So for any of the people I train who are watching, is sometimes we're actually like, I know I shouldn't do it, but sometimes people are sending me their videos, it's like 12 o'clock at midnight or after 1, and I'm like feeding back on these videos, you know, make this tweak, make that tweak, and I shouldn't do that, but yeah.
Hey, isn't that the challenge of being an entrepreneur, is that when you're employed, you can walk away at 5 o'clock and you can just switch off, can't you? But when you're an entrepreneur and you've got clients and you've got people who are taking your workshops, it's a different kind of responsibility, isn't it? And is that, that seems to be what's coming across, is that boundary isn't just about your work ethic, it's just the nature of business means you can't clock in and clock out in the same way. Yeah,
I think there is that. I definitely need to be stronger with boundaries, but there is that. I think as well, because it feels like, because I'm nurturing it as well, and it's like my baby, like our Virgin Media, and because like I love the people that we get to work with, so. And somebody actually told me I need to kind of make a clear line between, switch off and have Veronica time and the community time, because they're kind of like a bit blended. So, because I'm growing it, I think, and I am toning it down a little bit, trying to, be a bit more reasonable with with my time. But it does blur a little bit sometimes. But it's because I enjoy doing it. So,
right, which is amazing, right? It's cool that you enjoy it, so it doesn't feel so much like work, is it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Time now to hand over to the audience here and online. So let's start here. Does anyone have any questions for Veronica? Lou, we've got a question.
So, great to hear you speak, Veronica. Really interesting. Where you are now, what would you say to that 16-year-old? What advice would you give her?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think.
You're trying to think back to when you were 16.
One thing, what I would say is that things aren't linear. Like, when you know where you want to be, I don't think there's a straight road from A to B. And I think it's really important to take those detours. I think you learn more when you're doing those detours. And also at 16, I think I would say, like, to myself as well, and other 16-year-olds, I'd say, is you don't need to know then what you need to be. There's a huge world out there, and like I kind of figure it's drummed into us quite early. What do you want to be? What do you want to be? And then there's a lot of pressure as well to work towards that. And sometimes you're on that path, and then you realise that's not actually what I want to be, or that's not what I want to do. So yeah, I think take the detours.
Can we just pick up on that? Sorry, I'm going to come to you in a minute.
Yeah, of course.
I've heard this, and I want this to be a really good message for our students, because that message is such a pernicious one, and we don't always think about how dangerous it is, but there's this kind of idea that you have to do something and you need to stick with it for years and years and years, and you've got to know what that is when you're 16 or 18 or even 21. But in reality, your career shows this. Lots of people who are successful careers show this. Actually, you may find that something becomes your burning passion for a few years. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be your life. And I'm sure you've seen this as well in your work, that people who've maybe, for 5 years, they've done something, they've kind of taken it as far as they want to take it. Yeah. It's kind of a pressure to keep going with it. But maybe that message is dangerous, because maybe actually the best thing for you is to get off that hamster wheel and get onto something else, because your time with that has ended, and that's that season of your life and it's over.
Yeah, and the other thing with that is, as we're seeing today as well, there's lots of careers that when you're at school, those careers don't exist. So there are so many, you know, you could be working towards one thing, you know, in a like career, a specific career that's already there. And then that thing that's your hobby, that's nothing I'd tell young people, like stick it with your hobbies as well, because those things you do when you're younger, which I'll reveal a couple of mine in a moment, but those things you're doing when you're younger kind of actually tend to be where you're happiest as you go through life. But yeah, for those people in careers and for students, it is whatever you're doing. You could create that new you know, you could actually create that new career for yourself. You could create, you know, and the other thing is, well, I don't think some education spurs entrepreneurialism, because there are so many things and so many solutions still yet to be made and to be had. So yeah, whatever you're, you know, people are doing in their rooms or in their little offices or in their dorm rooms or wherever, there's things that aren't necessarily related to what they're studying. Keep at that, I think, as well. But for me, so the things I liked when I was younger was story writing. I used to write lots of stories, which made sense. I went into journalism. But I wrote lots of stories, and also I used to write poetry as well. So I was really, really creative. I used to do other things, so like embroidery and knitting, and I was really like a bit introverted and just used to do lots of things. But one of the things is that I loved doing when I was younger was computer programming. I used to do computer programming, and I think for me, if I ever have something that I would have loved to have continued that, I think I'd absolutely would love to have continued that one. Wow. So basically, my monitor broke at the time. So the monitor that I had for my computer, it broke, and I never got the monitor back. And so that ended my computing.
I have to say, there's quite an eclectic range of embroidery, story writing, and computer programming. And
reading as well. Like my parents, I mean, my parents really nurtured the fact that I loved stories, I loved reading, and I loved writing. And so that my mum, you know, I was one of those kids, you know, when they used to send home a leaflet where you could pick some books. And I think you could only have like 3 books or something. And I'd run home and I'd want all these books on this leaflet. But it was really lovely because my parents bought me so many books, and I'd read, and yeah, just literally I was always by myself reading or programming my computer or knitting or making something. So
kind of 60, way before your time. That's amazing. Got Jerry, and then go ahead.
Yeah. First of all, I just want to say happy International Women's Day to all of you women here. You're all fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm really inspired by the things you said about how far you came. And then I've got one question which I was going to ask you, but I think I'm going to make it 2.
Oh, yeah.
Who inspired you? Where did the idea, the drive, the hunger came from? Was it when you were 16 years old, you see yourself, oh, I could be a failure? Do I want to change? Do I want to have this life? Or do I want to go out there and get it? You know, I just want to know who was your role model? Who inspired you to become who you are today?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things with that. Is for some reason, and I think it's from my parents, for some reason, and also from my parents, and also that I used to read a lot, is that when I see things like injustices or things, I kind of don't want to sit back and do nothing for some things. For example, I remember when I was doing one of my degrees, and I say one because I've done 2. And when I was doing one of my degrees, I was really interested in. There was a lot of things at the time about black boys in school and black masculinity and everything, and how it wasn't cool to be in school. So there was a thing about black boys underachieving in schools. And at the time, I had my daughter, and I was saying I wanted the world that she grew up in to be a better place. By the time she goes to school, I want it to be different, because and I'd done my dissertation looking at how black boys progressed through schools, and what I found was that they went into schools with high aspirations, so into secondary schools, you know, bright, like their whole lives ahead of them, and for some reason, well, there are for many reasons, I'm not saying for some reason, there are specific reasons why it happens, but throughout that schooling process, those 5 years at the time in secondary school, because it was 5 years then, their spark was taken out of them. Every single year, their spark was taken out of them. And it was a lot to do with the teachers. It was a lot to do with stereotypes, negative stereotypes, labelling theories. You know, they were being excluded for hair or for simple things like being the black boy in the class, and there's disruption in the class, but the teacher always sent out the black boy. And so I did that for my dissertation, and actually that was here, and it got sponsored by Aim Higher, who so which is fantastic. And so that's what I looked at, and I was really distressed by it, because I literally saw these amazing boys, and then they had so many hopes and dreams, and it was just like being taken away from them. And so what I did from there is like I was just like I just did what I could do. I think people always should do just what they could do wherever they are. You know, you don't have to do like the most amazing thing. Just do what you can do wherever you are. So I set up a mentoring project, and it was with this university, Solent University, and they had the ACS, the African Caribbean Societies, and there was also an organisation that trained mentors. So I put the black students with the mentor organisation, and then that went out into schools, and it was Woolston School at the time, which was my old school, and a couple of other schools across the city. So just to kind of make that change. So that was one thing that inspired me there, and that was, and I think in there it was specifically because I wanted to make, as a mum, I wanted to make the situation better. So that inspired me there. And also, I think as well, my parents really inspired me, because they, when I grew up in Southampton, it was very different as it is now. So the schools that I was in, I was like one of, being myself and my brother and sister, we were like the few black children in the school. So my hair was different, our skin was different, our food, everything was different. You know, we had many, many friends, but we were always reminded that we were different. You know, always, you know, whether people were, oh, can I touch your hair? And they're like, ew, your hair feels weird. And it was like, so it's not, you know, it didn't fill us with confidence. But my mum and dad always told us how much they loved us, and how much, you know, how we can, you know, what we can do. You know, how we had opportunities. My parents took us we did gymnastics, kung fu, we did drama. You know, my parents took us, you know, do all kinds of activities. So my parents always drummed it into us that we could do things. So they inspired me a lot as well. Thank you.
Brilliant. We'll take one question here, and then I'll come to you if that's okay, Carolina.
There is one question, please. What advice would you give in regards of funding or starting your business?
Yeah, that's really important. That's really important. Thank you for that question. So if it's a social business, as in like a social enterprise, with regards to funding, there is an organisation called Social Enterprise UK where people can look at and find loads of advice about setting up social enterprises. But when it comes to actually applying to an organisation for funding, I'd mentioned earlier Unlimited and also the School for Social Entrepreneurs. Both of them provide startup funding for people who are starting up social enterprises or charities or community, kind of like change maker businesses. And the thing is as well, I think for both of them as well, you don't have to be a social enterprise at the start, as long as you want to try an idea of something, you know, of a social type business, social impact organisation that you want to create. Sure. Yeah, Unlimited for funding, and also School for Social Entrepreneurs. And another thing as well is like when I started up Our Version Media with regards to funding, is I knew I wanted to be a social enterprise, and I knew there were things like grants because I was in the School for Social Entrepreneurs, but I know I didn't want Our Version Media to be a grant reliant organisation. Right. So I think for people as well with regards to funding is always have an arm, if it's a social enterprise, always have an income generating side of your business, so that money you make from that service goes back in and helps you grow the social enterprise and grow the social impact as well.
Excellent. Great advice. Great advice. Excellent. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for a really inspiring speech. I really loved it. And I came up with 2 questions as well.
Yeah.
Hope you don't mind. And the first question is kind of related with the one you got before. It's about money.
Yeah.
It requires really strong leadership to manage your business, and requires stronger leadership skills to manage a social enterprise. So is there any like key skills you want to highlight here of managing like the money and your initiative? And the second question is kind of funny. It's about a lot of people, because you mentioned you love storytelling, right? Like writing stories and everything. A lot of people can tend to say once your interests become your job, you start to hate it. So how do you think about that?
Okay, those are two really good questions. I'm going to do the first one first about the finances and the leadership skills. So the different skills that people need to run a social enterprise are many. And to be fair, that's where organisations like Unlimited and School for Social Entrepreneurs come in. Because for me personally, running a business is not my strong point. That's not what I'd rather be out and about with people rather than behind my desk doing the, you know, like the governance and day-to-day type of stuff, which is essential. You need to do it. So I think with skills, I think skill sharing is really good. Skill sharing as in, for anyone who, I think people, the important thing is always get support. That's really crucial. And as a social entrepreneur, you have to learn quickly everything. You learn marketing, you learn accounting, you learn everything. So, and it can be quite tiring to do all of it. Learning is important, and take reputable courses like, for example, through the School for Social Entrepreneurs or Unlimited, because there's so much learning you can have out there. And not necessarily every single one is the best for someone. Financial learning is really important. And for me, I mean, I've managed like marketing budgets before. When I was in marketing many years ago, I managed a marketing budget that was tens of thousands of pounds. And so when it comes to managing and the year financial forecasting and logging everything that's done, I'm really good at that. But what I don't have so many good skills at is something called financial forecasting, where I had a mentor recently for Our Version Media, and an amazing mentor. And she went through with me to do financial forecasting, where you put down the services that you have, so you know what your minimum income, the minimum expenditure is. You put down the services that you have, and you calculate how many of that service you have to deliver to make a certain income. And then you put all those services together, and then you can work out how many of certain things you need to do. That's something I'd never done that before. And when I first did it, so you do it as a projected first, like a desired, and then an actual, and you kind of like move the figures along as you go along. And then doing that made me see, wow, look at the potential of this business. As in, like, I didn't know that I could generate that much income, because as a social enterprise, it goes back into growing it. So it would go back into, making a bigger social impact. So the whole financial forecasting side, to be able to say, also to price things up really well, but to also to see, to know how many, say, like workshops you need to deliver every year, or how many of a certain client you need, and also expenditure for different events. Financial skills are key. But
that sounds amazing. I've not actually heard of that. So it's kind of like cash flow forecasting. It's not cash flow forecasting. It's a bit different.
No, I don't even know what it was called. We just put down the financial forecasting. And it was, I'd never seen it. It was such an eye-opener for me. And I would advise people to do it, because, for example, it makes you know if you're going to meet your minimum requirements as well. And probably most people who do finances are probably well aware of this, but I wasn't. I didn't know that, and also I know if I want to drop this service, that's going to be my shortfall, so I need to up doing these and things like that. So I found that really, really helpful.
Oh, sounds fantastic, yeah.
And I'd like to go on to the should I go on to the second question, or do you want to follow up or anything on?
Yeah, that would be good, thank you.
Thank you. So the second question, where when you start doing things that you love, when they become your job, you don't like it as much. I have heard that before. Thankfully, that hasn't happened to me. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen for a while, because for me, in fact, I don't think it will happen, but then I know people don't know the future. But for me, I don't feel like it will happen, because the people that I work with, to see the outcomes of the work that I do, it just makes me feel it just makes me feel like really, really happy. So when I work with somebody, so for example, if I trained a group of say eight people from different neighbourhoods across Southampton, and just say like 5 of them started making videos, and it's, you know, so I'd finish working with them, and I do keep in touch with people as well. But even still, even if I don't see them, I kind of keep seeing their videos popping up. And it makes me really happy because they're sharing their stories. And even I worked with, when I first started our Virgin Media, I worked with somebody called Dr. Abdullah Sane, who's very well known in Southampton yet. And you know Dr. Abdullah, the chair of TUVA, which is the United Voices of African Associations. But he also has a project called ICANN, which is Active Kids Network. And he had a project where they, it was an inner city alleyway project, and it had children, and they clear away disused alleyways to make safe places for children to play. And he'd run that project for 5 years, and he came along and he did my mobile storytelling training, and he made a video of a cleanup, and it was an amazing video, and he put it on social media as well. And he said that in the 2 weeks that had been up, more people got to know about the project than in the whole entire 5 years that the project had been running. And it's a beautiful little video, and it's on our YouTube channel. Right. And it's a beautiful video, and it's just showing these young people clearing these tons of rubbish out of this alleyway. And I remember it's quite shocking because they found knives in, you know, there's a knife and mobile phones and things like that in this alleyway as well. And at the end of the video, you'll see that he said, I remember he said in the video, he said, can you imagine, we haven't even finished cleaning up and the kids are already playing. And in the video, there's shots of the kids running and laughing up the alleyways. And it was really, really beautiful. So for me, doing what I don't think I'll get, you know, even though it's my job, I don't think it will ever become a chore or become unbearable or anything like that. And the other thing is as well, and just keep training people to do it, because I won't do it forever. But I'm happy that when I'm showing people how to do it, they're showing other people how to do it and empowering more people to tell stories. So I want it to be like a big, you know, like throw that stone in it and that big ripple effect, and then everyone can be making their videos. And I can see some people in here that have done training as well, which is fantastic. Yeah, and I can see somebody who's just made another video for her work organisation as well. So it's really nice to see people getting these digital skills, and that just makes me really happy. So
yeah. And I guess that, now I'm just thinking about it, the way that we tell stories is changing so much. So I mean, you must see this since our Virgin Media started, but like the new platforms, like things like TikTok and Snapchat, and that's always going to be constantly evolving, isn't it? So in terms of what you can do and the stories we can tell and where they can go, it's endless, isn't it?
It definitely.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And the other thing is as well, is because when I'm working with people and to tell their stories, I mean, the videos we make are literally so short, like 1 minute, 1:30. For example, when I was working in news, I mean, you could tell a whole news world event in 2.5 minutes. You know, you could make a video and tell like a major story in a short amount of time. So when we're making the stories, people's stories, they're more or less, you know, 1:30 or 2 minutes. And so people just keep giving like little snippets in their lives and their communities, which is, you know, it's a really, really nice thing. And also as well, when people have these skills, people are learning to make videos for different platforms. And for even people who don't, when it comes to certain things, like whether it's TikTok or other platforms like that, they've also got the different facilities where people can edit and make videos, and, you know, TikTok's amazing. Yeah. People can do so many skills, but what we're doing with our Virgin Media is really helping people to like take a viewer on a journey from the start to the middle and the end of their story, and really give that glimpse into their life. Wow.
Fantastic. Got a question here from Romana.
I don't have a question, but I just would like to take the opportunity to say thank you for what you do for the community, and for the inspiration what you bring for the women, young women from the different backgrounds as well, and in general the help you do. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I feel like I'm crying.
Great. We've got a question from the lady over there.
Yeah, mine is no question. because after learning for the video class we did, I do a little bit of show on YouTube or Facebook. And then after she taught me how to edit, even though it's a live video, I tried to make what she taught to come out, and I found out more viewers, but that's not little, go straight to the point, make them feel that I learned from her class. So I would say really, really thank you. And don't stop.
No, thank you, and don't stop yourself, because I enjoy watching your videos and yours as well.
Don't stop. That's great. Jerry.
Sorry. I think I'm inspired and I would like to join because I've got so many ideas, but I don't know how to put it out there. I don't believe the mainstream media, and there's so many things that's going around the world that I'm not happy to talk about. I mean, I've studied international relations and politics, but there's a lot in my mind that I want to put out there, and I think, you know, it'd be nice for me to join this journey and also to learn. You know, so I'd like to know at the end of this, how do I sign up?
Of course.
Sign up.
Oh.
Well, that's amazing. And maybe this is a really nice way for us to wrap up, is to how do people get involved in our version media, whether you're a community group that wants training, or if you're an individual, or if you're a business, what would be the way to get involved?
On our Version Media's website. So we have on our website, there is so on the website, there's a page about mobile storytelling, so people can register through there, or if they search our Version Media and type "I am in," it leads to a page where they can put their details in, and they'll go onto a waiting list for the training. I think the other thing I really want to say is I would encourage everyone to tell their stories. I think through telling stories, you can break down barriers. You can educate people on your own culture as well, about your life. Show people a different aspect of you know, there's so many people and cultures living in Southampton. You know, oh yeah, and I like stories about food. So if anyone, oh excellent. So yeah, I'll be looking out for videos and stories about food. But no matter what platform you want to tell your stories on, whether or not it's video, you know, I would love to welcome more people into our Version Media to, you know, to help more people to tell their stories. But whether you're writing, you know, whether it's you're putting out tweets or anything, please tell your stories in whatever way you want to. I think it's really important, and we get to learn more about each other and, you know, create a more, you know, unified community if we're all sharing our stories. And there's a little question over there.
No, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. We've got a question there, it's fine.
Oh.
Go on. It's okay.
Oh, he's shy. It's okay.
All right. A question here.
I've known Veronica for quite a number of years now, and I'm so proud of her. And I've yet to learn the skills to do my own video, and I'll be contacting you to continue so that one day I'll be able to do it.
Yes, because I know you have a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, this is amazing. This is so fantastic. I'm gonna end. Maybe we have another question that comes up while I'm asking, but my question is, if you could make one class in university compulsory, something that you think all students should learn, what would that class be?
I think equity and inclusion. And the reason why I say that, because first of all, I think financial education is fantastic.
Right, we are. We've identified that.
Financial education is really, really important, but that should start from younger. I think that should start in, you know, in younger schools. I think it's really important. But equity and inclusion, I think that one, everyone should learn that. And the reason being is because people in university is going to be the next bosses.
Yes.
You know, they're going to be the next workforce. And I think it's really important that at that stage, equity and inclusion is embedded, and that biases that they learned as they were growing up, whether it's from their parents or from their schools and things like, I think universities could play a really big role in kind of, you know, unpicking those and getting people, and the other thing about university is you get to, it might be the first place for some people to meet people of other cultures as well, because sometimes in, you know, schools or college are maybe less diverse, but when you get to university, you've got people from all over the country, all over the world, and it's a beautiful place. But I feel it should definitely be taught in university because even like unlearning unconscious bias, also learning how to be anti-racist, also valuing diversity and, whether, ethnicity, faith, gender and sexuality and everything like that. I think, equity and inclusion, I feel, is essential. And I think you should push for that.
Yes, we will push for that. A round of applause. Round of applause. That's a fantastic way to end. Just one more time, can we get a really huge round of applause for Veronica?
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I have to say, we've been doing this speaker series for about 4 or 5 years, but this has been so uplifting and inspiring, Veronica. I know that you could have been reticent about telling your story, but I think I can speak for everyone here and at home that your story is remarkable. And we need to hear your story more. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you
very much. We really appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
You can find Veronica and Our Version Media on all your favourite social media channels, especially YouTube. Go watch those videos. They sound amazing. Go and watch all of those videos. The content is fantastic as well. And there is ED&I training as well, isn't there? That you do. I've seen it in your email signature. So if there are businesses watching, it's mainly for businesses and organisations.
Yeah, so I'll keep it brief. We've instructed we've teamed up with an organisation called Inclusive, which is a national equality, diversity and inclusion organisation, and we're bringing them to Southampton to provide anti-racism, unconscious bias, and allyship, which is really important. Need plenty of allies. Yes. And also allyship at work training as well, and those are going to be online, and they are coming up later this month. So details are on our website. Okay, amazing. We will share with university leadership, who I know we're very keen to promote equity and diversity at the university. So that's great and very timely. Sadly, that's it for us tonight. If you're here in person, come and join us for some refreshments outside. Those of you at home, go and treat yourself to some Ribena and a custard cream. You're worth it. If you're a student, just to let you know that as well as this fantastic event, we have WCC, our competition where you can win up to £100 in startup funding for your social impact idea, or 30,000 Canadian dollars as well for first prize. There's more prize money in our social impact dissertation prize, which we'll be launching in May, and fully funded places even to go to Spark India in Mumbai this August. We'll also be back at Avenue Campus for a free barbecue on May the 4th. If you're new to the Social Impact Lab, please subscribe on our website to get latest updates and opportunities from us. Until the next time, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and help us to build a new world in which we can all thrive. Thank you all very much, and good night. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.